the time.
Forever? Tangent. Old.
Halt.
Hashtag always MGM.
You are approaching the unloading area.
Calm down. AK haters.
But what if it could? Behold, the majesty of the Sistine Ceiling.
For the kids.
A salute to all theme parks, but mostly Walt Disney World.
Ha! What a cute ending.
Aloha and
Don't Dillo it.
This is Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz. She is Jen.
Hello.
And I am Frank, and we are here for the second part of Jen's trip report from the end of January 2025, also around the time of her 43rd birthday.
All right.
This was not supposed to be a two-parter.
No.
But once we got going last week, here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect that. And then I get in my head with these trip reports, a little behind the scenes, a little, what do we call it? Inside baseball, now that it's baseball season.
Yeah.
I get in my head. I'm like, I'm just saying what I did in Disney. Do people want to hear that? But, obviously it's fine. And that's just me with the podcast for 7 years. Do people want to hear this?
Well, she doesn't tell anybody when she's on her trip to Walt Disney World that she has a podcast, because this is what's going on inside her head.
Correct.
Before we do that, we have just a couple of things to talk about. As was mentioned on last week's podcast, we were anticipating Pete Alonso signing with the Mets.
Yeah.
And by Theme Park Thursday, lo and behold, he had signed back with the Mets.
Yay!
And then, and to say, Pete Alonso is the 10-year-old's favorite baseball player on his favorite team. So it all works out.
Yeah.
The 10-year-old's favorite football team is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Correct.
And they just dominated in the Super Bowl this past weekend. Just their defense was unbelievable, and preventing Kansas City from a three-peat, preventing us from a Kelsey Swiftie proposal in the middle of the field.
It was totally going to happen, people. It was totally happening. That's exactly how that would happen.
I can't believe Jalen Hurts ruined that for us. Jalen Hurts, who was in Walt Disney World, Magic Kingdom on Monday.
Yep.
We had some people there.
Yes.
Witnessing the occasion. Just to gauge, it's Monday night here while we're recording. What's the temperature over at the Dillo household with the 10-year-old?
I mean, he's pretty excited. He stayed up for the entire Super Bowl. And, sometimes some of the big games can be a little stressful to watch. And, the way this game was going, I was like, how is happening? I do think I had said at one point when we were like, I'm pretty sure this is fine. This game will go how we think it's going. That I was like, listen, you have to understand that being an Eagles and a Mets fan is not normally this good as it's been since you have become a fan of both. This is crazy. This is unheard of that these things are happening. And same for Pete Alonso last week. He was waking me up daily with he does a grandpa voice. Hey, Jen, any latest news with the Mets? He does that when he wakes me up. No, nothing. Are you sure? Did you check yet today? There's nothing. I'm telling you, nothing has happened at 6 a.m. They're not announcing anything. It's fine. And so the announcement came the night before Mr. Snidillo's birthday.
That's right.
And so the next morning, he just came in right into happy birthday and all the things. And so 20 minutes after waking up, I'm like, hey, you didn't ask me a certain question today. He's like, what? Wait, what did I ask? Is there news? And I'm like, about what do you mean? About what? He's like, about Pete Alonso. Is there news about Pete Alonso? I'm like, there is. And he just like held his breath for a moment, and then just let out the loudest scream ever at 7 a.m. So
Good morning.
Yeah, more excitement. And now, his team just won the Super Bowl. Everyone knew. Everyone was excited for him. His teachers were excited for him. Everyone knows this kid has been an Eagles fan in his Long Island school.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know I saw some social media where people like, you can't be an Eagles and a Mets fan. I'm like, listen, there's ways in. I'm telling you, there's
It
just
happens.
ways that it happens.
Uh-huh.
That's just the way of it. I mean, he stayed up for the whole Super Bowl. I don't remember seeing with my own eyes the
Yeah.
Mets winning the World Series in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't remember Game 6. I don't think I was awake by the time that game ended when the ball rolled through Bill Buckner's legs. But Game 7, I specifically remember, like, I did a lot of clock radio listening.
Sure.
That was a lot of it. Either that and Jen, I don't know if you're familiar with this move or not. We may never have talked about this before here on the podcast for 7 years. Did you ever do this move at the top of the stairs?
Of course I did. Just listen, just sometimes just to listen. What's going on? But then Mom and Papa Dillo's house, which for everyone listening.
Oh
or
yeah, that's not
watching,
working. It's not working.
is there's a hallway of the bedrooms and the bathroom, small, like, I mean, it is and it isn't small, right? And then there's a landing to the staircase,
Right.
and there's also a step up into the bathroom. It's very odd. You could kill yourself in that whole area right there. But there's a landing and then the stairs, so you could kind of like crouch on the landing without anyone really seeing you or noticing.
Yeah. So then you just do one of these.
Sure.
And so I don't know if I watched the end of the Mets World Series win in '86 that way, but I remember the clock radio stuff. But I'm like, now he's seen a Super Bowl his team win the Super Bowl with his own eyes at 10.
And he's like, well, next up, Mets will win the World Series. So I'm like, okay, I feel like we
can't. Oh, he knows how the Dodgers are built this year, though. I know he does.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny because he had a pajama day today, because every day is something at the schools, and so he had a pajama day, but he wore his pajama pants with his Hertz jersey, so he had a little bit of both going on. But before going to school this morning, I had dropped off the 8-year-old. I come home to him down here playing, with his baseball mitt is out and the ball is going in the air. I go, oh, we're back in. It's time. It's time for baseball now.
He's reported for spring training.
All right, and we're in it. Got it. Yeah, it's all very crazy. And I wrote on the LinkedIn today, where I'm participating more lately, that and I brought this up to him last night. I'm like, it's pretty cool that we went to that public practice in August. It wasn't cool that it was 103 degrees out, but it was pretty cool that we were there, and like, boom, now they just won the Super Bowl. What is life?
I gotta do that every year.
Meanwhile, after last year, we're like, all right, we're good. We don't have to do this again, do we?
Made it happen. But we are here for Jen's Trip Report, the second half of it. We did the first half on last week's podcast. Programming notes first.
Oh.
Next week, I will be in Disneyland.
Yes.
We already recorded next week's podcast.
Yeah.
And we have a guest. I'm happy to say that guest is Barry Jacobson. I'm just saying it. I'm saying it. No spoilers. All the spoilers.
No spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
And talking a lot about like high-level premium experiences across Disney properties, some really cool stuff. And Barry was a great guest, so make sure you check that out next week. But one thing we didn't get to talk about on the podcast is that Barry also wrote the foreword to an upcoming book from Rob Anspach, Marketing the Magic Behind the Scenes Business Strategies from Walt Disney World. Rob was kind enough to send us a copy, the latest draft, if you would, of the book. So Jen and I are perusing that as we speak. But already, what's great about these past 7 years, I was gonna say this podcast, these past 7 years, it's just the stories, the people who are invested in Disney in so many different ways, whether it was their career, whether it was just something that inspired them, is something that sparked a book, what have you. And these things seem to be surfacing a little bit more than usual lately, and we're here for it. We're here for all those conversations
Yeah.
and all the reading material.
Yeah, I'm very excited. No, that the conversation we had with Barry was awesome. He was great to talk to. Like many guests we have, we felt like, well, we could have done this for a few hours
Hmm.
and just kept going. And yeah, it also is one of those like, how are we talking to these really cool people? What's happening?
Yeah.
Like, how are we? We're just in this world. It's so cool to hear these stories, and we're getting to hear them from these people who were in it and in the day to day and had such amazing Disney-esque experiences.
Yeah, and Barry's especially just carries him from, you know, late 70s
Hmm.
Polynesian
Yeah.
resort
Yeah.
cast member
Mhm.
awesomeness, all the way to Club 33 and Golden Oak, and it's
Yeah.
like, D23, and
Mhm.
there's so much there. So make sure you check out the podcast while I'm in Disneyland next week.
It's happening. How are you feeling?
I was doing great
Oh.
a couple of weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Like, I felt like, oh, now I'm in it. I'm reading stuff. I'm looking at, people's strategies to approaching the parks, and then I got really busy, and now I haven't thought about it that much in a while. And now it's next week.
Right. So does that get you excited again or just increase your anxiety about it?
Well, the anxiety is here, as you can tell. That was like a real breath. That wasn't like that wasn't a dramatic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little. No. Once I'm there, I'll be good. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, that's one week. I'm already like, oh my god, a 6 a.m. flight to LA. Slow down. I gotta calm down. Calm down.
Everybody calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think once I'm there, which is what I
Mhm.
always say,
Mhm. It'll be
that
fine.
everything will be fine.
I mean, the New York weather lately hasn't been helping calm anxiety at either. So,
No, just how many times will it snow this week? Is the question.
right.
So
Mhm.
right now it's looking okay. Just get me out of here next
Right.
Tuesday. That's all I ask. The weather can be whatever on the back end
Sure.
until I'm there, and I'm like, I'm never
I
getting
have to get
home.
home. Yeah. Mhm.
But no, I'm looking forward to all the things, and then we'll do 6 weeks worth of trip reports after that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I already have it in the schedule, so it's fine. I have us scheduled for everyone listening to, I know we've been saying it every single episode in 2025 so far, but we are very planned out. I think we're good until like April at this point, which is insane.
Yeah,
We are normally
unprecedented.
week to week.
Yeah.
That's it. Just
Jen, you went on a trip to Walt Disney World
I did.
a couple of weeks ago.
Feels like forever ago already.
Forever.
It's really sad.
Speaking of forever, where
Mm.
everyone is here at DillosDisResort.com to hear a rant at some point. When will we expect that rant?
I mean, I should probably save the rant for the end.
Okay.
I'll go out on the rant. I mean, I think in last episode I said, "Oh, good, maybe it'll give me more time to think about and process and sort out my rant a little bit." I did none of the above, so
Oh,
we'll
cool.
just see how it all goes and what happens, which is again probably how a rant should be. So I can just kind of go over everything else I did, and then we can rant about the Muppets,
Okay.
basically. Okay.
How many? Just as a starting point,
Sure.
because the 8-year-old B
Uh-huh.
until this episode of Theme
Yes.
Park
Oh,
Thursday,
that's right.
where there's a change in the program,
Yeah.
and 8-year-old A will now be known as the 9-year-old heretofore. And
Mhm.
that's it. That's the end of the podcast, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
And then we go 10-9-8 for a while. 10-9-8.
Hmm. It's fine.
It's fine. And sleepover at the Snidillo clan this weekend.
Annual
Woo!
sleepover.
Mhm.
Annual sleepover. I'm fine.
Yeah,
It's
it's
okay.
fine. It's all
It's really
fine.
good. It's okay. How many times for the 8-year-old? Now that she is the only 8-year-old, how
Yes,
many times on Star Tours?
3.
3 times on Star Tours.
Yes. It seems to
One-
be her number. She said she wanted to do 7, but we did 3.
7 times on Star Tours.
Yeah.
My
Mhm.
head is rattling just thinking about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And this was her pick, as mentioned on the last episode. We had told them we were going on her birthday and said she could pick one of the parks we go to, and her pick was Hollywood Studios. I think it got a little tougher because they went on Soarin' over the summer, and
Mhm.
she really loves Soarin'. But the fact that me and Mr. Snidillo had already picked Epcot, it was then an easy choice for her to make for Hollywood Studios. Hashtag always MJ.
When I listened back to the podcast last week, I was like, I knew I asked the question badly, and then when I listened, I was like, what am I even talking about? Do you think there is a part of the 8-year-old that wishes she picked Magic Kingdom?
No. Um, no. There was like a brief moment leading up of like, wait, we're not going, but like she never debated it. And listen, both of them at times can really go into their buyer's remorse about things or things that they wish they did. Or so I feel like I'm confident in saying I don't believe she wished she did because I think we would have heard it.
Right, and which leads me to the other part of it after the day being complete and knowing, like, the crowds in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you made a good choice do you feel like you got a complete day at
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios compared to maybe what you would not have done at MK for a day?
Yeah, no, I do think that, and I was seeing that Ryan was sharing a video from the People Mover this morning, and it hurt a little bit, and I was like, "Ah, man, why does this hurt so much? I was just there," and I was like, "Oh, but I wasn't just there. I didn't go there, so now I have to
There.
go back." Um, but yeah, you know, I think it was a little bit weird for Mr. Snidillo and I at times going, "Oh, it's kind of weird we're not going there." I think probably because of the kids. Like,
Yeah,
before kids, we had done plenty of Disney trips that never included Magic Kingdom.
right,
Sometimes didn't include any of the parks,
right.
whatever it was. But I think because we've been taking them for so many years now, it's like, "Oh, but we're not going to Magic Kingdom. That's so weird, but we have kids. This is where you go. This is what you do." Um, and I do still feel that way that because I know last week you had asked, like, would you recommend that? And I think for first timers,
Yeah,
no, you gotta go with the castle, but
right.
also after that, no, I do think you can do a trip where you kinda just do a park here and there, or do 2 of the parks or whatever it is, or a long weekend with 1 park, whatever, but
Yeah, I mean, and I think we can I don't know how much you remember this because since you're so much younger than me,
Mm,
that, I feel like the 90 like, at least the early 90s, we're talking 91 and
yeah.
95 probably. I think our Magic Kingdom time was relegated in some ways to Spectrum Magic parades,
Mhm,
Splash Mountain, Thunder Mountain, maybe I don't even remember riding Space Mountain as much during that time, but I feel
mhm,
like we went to that side of the park,
mhm,
we hit those couple of rides, we probably went on into Small World and went to
mhm.
Pinocchio's or
Yeah,
something,
yep,
and then watched Spectro, and
yeah,
I feel like that was a good 4 or 5 years of summer trips
yeah.
at the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, especially that we had annual passes, and we would absolutely go into a park in the morning. And sometimes we would feel out that park and go, "This place is crazy today. We're not coming
Yeah.
back here later." And we wouldn't even go back to that one or whatever decision we would make after the chill out time in the afternoon. So yeah, I can totally see that being the case.
And to say, like we said, it's Monday night. Our
Mhm.
friend Brian, guest of DillosDizResort.com, in the
Mhm.
Magic Kingdom currently.
Yeah,
At one point, what was it? 16 attractions down at the same time.
that's crazy.
And
I
now
mean, I
Theme Park Rob is saying 7 attractions down here at 10 after 9 on a Monday night. When, by the way, you have this Wall Street Journal article that just dropped
mhm,
that revealed maybe people aren't thinking about returning to Walt Disney World after their
mhm.
most recent trip.
Yeah, and Ryan mentioned $184 for
Ugh.
today's ticket, right? So you have that be your 1 day, 1 park ticket, and there are 15 rides down at a point. That's insane.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, And he said, for someone who maybe bought that premium pass today, what? What?
Like,
Yeah.
how much do you shake the rafters of guest relations?
Oh, I know. That's what I said. I said guest relations has to be crazy. Has to be crazy.
Yeah, and if you haven't read that Wall Street Journal article yet, it's a good one.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
feel like I need multi reads on it
Mhm.
because there's a lot of
Yeah.
information in there, and especially as it pertains to the 1 day park pass plus and Disney being like those numbers are inflated because they're not taking it. Okay. No, that is I don't care if you have the thing that we did last year with the 3 days and the
Mhm.
$240 or whatever it was. No, your park pass is $184 today
Yeah.
in
Yep.
February, and it's not President's Day.
Yeah. Yep.
It's crazy.
Lewis is saying why things are down needs to be shared, and it rarely is. Especially on the app. You have an app, and I mean, we can go on a whole rant about Disney's app and their website, and I don't understand why it can't be better. But you have an app. You have everyone have to use their phone for everything at this point. Why are you not giving out some information? Because it also makes the cast members at guest relations have an easier day if some people go, oh, you know what's going on? This, or this. I get it. Not everyone's going to react that way. Of
Yeah.
course, you're going to have the angry people, but you're going to have a smaller group at least go, oh, okay, nope, that happens. I get it. And be understanding.
And if it's people are sick this week,
Uh-huh.
what is
Right.
like? Tell me what's going on,
Yep.
because I mean that's the thing about the ticket prices is we're as the article suggests. We've been on this trajectory pretty much since we started this podcast that they were going to raise prices to minimize the crowds. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was the narrative.
Yeah.
Now we're at the place of, oh, have we gone too far?
Mm-hmm.
We get it that there was a pandemic in the middle of that.
Yeah.
We get that, but just look at the amount of money you've put into the equation this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I read that Wall Street Journal article and it said, well, the premier, the premium pass and the value. It's like, well, I wouldn't do that. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
take that money out of the equation.
Yeah.
But it's substantial,
Mm-hmm.
and you cannot have this level of difficulty in trying to enjoy the park for your $184 price.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're
Um,
talking about Hollywood Studios.
Oh, right. You know what? But that goes into it because that day at Hollywood Studios in the morning, now we had kind of suspected that we wouldn't be going right to Galaxy's Edge because we wanted to give it some time and whatever.
Yeah.
However, in the morning, Rise and Smugglers down. I'm like, you just everything's down over there. What's so therefore a line like Star Tours for the
Mhm.
first half of the day has a 25 to 30-minute wait.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No, I'm walking right on that or nothing else. But like so you had these lines finding other things, other places to be that is normally for rides and Slinky Dog,
Mhm.
forget, it
Mhm.
was crazy. But I was like, and I felt like they were down for a good amount of time. I would say the first half of the day at
Yeah.
least. So that was kind of nuts. Yeah, so it's crazy.
I mean, I feel like I've been very lucky with Rise over the
Mhm,
years.
mhm,
There was one, I think, when I first went back in 2021 after, after the time da,
mhm.
da, 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 that, landed, and I didn't get to go on that day because it was just
Yeah,
done. It was like,
yeah,
and I still think they had the one, you gotta do the fastest finger competition there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What is it
Right.
called? The fastest finger? What is it?
That's his finger. Yeah,
What's it
there.
called?
That's malaprop. There you go.
I think
Virtual queue.
I gotta start writing down my malaprops because I'm
Yeah,
using them around the house too much. There was
yeah.
I don't know. It called something ridiculous the other day, and I was like, "Oh my god, what am I doing? What am I turning into? Help me!"
You need to get the 9-year-old on the case
Mhm.
for Disneyland to write down any crazy words that come out of your mouth that she catches. Be like, just take
Well,
note of them.
and some of my employees have been doing that lately, and
Mm,
which is and they have like a notebook, and
okay.
And then I remember, like, I used to direct shows, and they were like, "Here's all the things you said at the end of like the
Mm-hmm. And they will be guests next week while you're away. As we talk to them, they bring the notebook for everyone to read.
What did you say?
Mhm.
So Star Tours. How do you start the day, right? Because you're not doing Tower of Terror with the kids. You're not doing Rock and Roller Coaster with the kids.
Right.
Slinky Dog, as we mentioned last week, not in play either. And the line's gonna be crazy all day. You
Yeah.
have the DAS pass.
Yep.
So you have that flexibility. You got no Rise. You got no Smuggler's Run. That
Uh-huh.
leaves you with what?
Yeah. So we did. I think how it went, because I'm like looking like what did we do before that? When we went in, we put in for the DOS for Mickey and Minnie's.
Mhm.
And then we went over to Toy Story Land, and did we got the hot chocolate. You had one of those Pop-Tart looking things
Yeah.
one year. I don't know, I forget what the full name of them. I know I put it up on the Instas, but the hot chocolate one. And so the kids got that, and we hung out for a bit and then walked back and went on we were back and forth, either walking through Toy Story Land or just going back and forth to Toy Story Land a lot the whole day. We're like, we've never been to Toy Story Land this much ever. um, but we went over to Mickey and Minnie's, so that was like our first ride of the day, because Mickey and Minnie's makes me nervous, because I feel like, especially when we've been there with the kids, the end of the day gets a little tricky with that one, and it
Mhm.
starts shutting down.
Mhm.
And then the lightning lane line is crazy. So to get a DOS pass is like pointless, because you're sitting on a crazy line anyway, and all of that. So I'm like, at least we know we went on it once and we're good. Um, so we did Mickey and Minnie's, and then we put in a DOS for Toy Story Mania.
Mhm.
Because that's why we went to Toy Story Land initially, because that was a 10-minute wait, but by the time we got there, it was not. So we put in the DOS for Toy Story Mania. In the meantime, we went on Alien Swirling Saucers for the first time, and then we went back out of Toy Story Land to Muppets.
Mhm.
Then we got, or at least Mr. Snidillo and I got a Ronto wrap. I believe
Right.
this was the same time the 8-year-old got her Mickey ice cream bar, and the 10-year-old got some Galaxy's Edge popcorn. Then we
Let me
went.
stop you for a
Oh,
second. First
sure.
time on Alien Swirling Saucers?
No, we've been
Oh,
on there a
I thought you
ton.
said first time for
Oh, no, no, no. Oh, first time of this trip.
uh-huh.
That was
I
our
was gonna
first
say.
time. No. Um, and then we did Toy Story Mania. Then we went over to the Frozen sing-along
Mhm.
and got to see our friends over there.
Aria, the historian.
Aria, our friends, which was fun. And Mr. Snidillo and the 10-year-old had never been to the Frozen sing-along, which I hadn't realized in this time. Oh, no, they did in 2018.
Yeah,
I think we all went, but they hadn't in recent years. Like, they were usually going over to like Smugglers or Rise, and then me and the
right.
8-year-olds were going to Frozen. So they did in 2018, but it had been a while. So
How was a 10-year-old think about that Frozen sing-along?
he was unsure at first,
Mhm.
and then he thought it was funny though after we left, so that was good. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to just sit there and sing Frozen songs." I'm like, "It's not just that, I promise."
What, are we gonna go in there and sing Frozen songs?
What we gonna do? We're gonna sit there. Um, and I think he was also a little antsy because Rise had still been shut down. So like he was like, why have I not been on Rise yet? And we've been here all this time. um, but no, we all enjoyed Frozen, which was good. Then finally made it to the boys went on Rise, and then me and the 8-year-old went on Star Tours. And then we took a break for the day. So that was our first portion.
The 8-year-old won't do Rise yet?
She will not. She doesn't want to be in the room with the stormtroopers. She is not a fan of stormtroopers at all.
Mhm.
Doesn't like them when she sees them walking around.
Now,
I'm
does she
scared
not
of 'em,
like
I
it?
don't like them. And I'm pretty sure she said something similar to that on this trip, and I was like, "Oh man, these are the moments I need to be recording." Um, so she doesn't want to be in the room with stormtroopers. She knows about the lightsaber thing. She just
Mhm.
like, and then there's a drop. I'm like, there's not really a drop, and it's fine. You felt more things and other whatever.
Jeffers
Uh,
is asking seating for.
no VIP seating at the Frozen sing along because we kind of just went on a whim. We were like, we saw that Rise was back up, I think, at that point, put in for the DOS and was like, to kill the time, let's go to Frozen, because we had been wanting to do that anyway. So
Now, during that time, Jen did text me that our friend was the historian for that specific performance,
yeah.
and who most people here at the resort in the
Mhm.
chat tonight have met as well. Oh, sorry, Lewis and Val, you weren't there that day.
Sorry, Lucifer.
Sorry, Lewis and Val, didn't mean
Sorry,
to.
sorry.
Sorry. So then, as Jen sent me the image, then I did text the historian. I was like, "Guess what's happening right now?" So she was
Yeah,
laughing about
that
that.
was pretty funny. And for those that were there with us in September, we did see Aria, but it was a different. Is his name Eric?
Maybe
Maybe
Eric.
it was Eric. This is the other
Not,
one.
not Ned.
We saw we saw another Eric. So just one half of the same historians. But okay, and then we took a break, and we kids also went swimming that day during that break as well. Because I felt like we were in a really good place at studios, that I was like, we don't have to rush to get back here. So I think we can squeeze in all the things. Yeah. Uh, on this day, we had originally planned to go to Beaches and Cream. And there were a plethora of reservations available during the whole trip, and we had like bounce back and forth of when we would go, and we had lunch reservations initially. Then we started changing it and going, I don't know, it's a lot of time to like come out of the park, go to the beaches, sit in there for a while, and then go back to the hotel and chill out for a while and all of that. So we're like, maybe we'll do dinner. But then we were kind of holding off on everything, and then we were trying to figure out, well, where can we go eat in studios instead of doing a quick serve. And I think we've talked about, but the roundup, I don't think the kids would eat anything. So that's what's keeping me out of there. I would go in because I think they would like the atmosphere, but the food keeps me out for
It's
them.
hours.
Yeah, well, sure. So then I was like, wait a second, does Mama Melrose's have any reservations? And they had quite a few. So we got a Mama Melrose reservation for dinner, which is closing in May.
Mhm.
So it's closing in May. I probably haven't been there since the 90s. But obviously I'm sad about it closing in May. So
Yeah. We haven't been there since ABC was bought by Disney. I think we were actually there on the day. I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
Somebody in the resort, please look up the day that ABC was bought by Disney.
Mm.
If it is an August date, we were at Mama Melrose's that day.
Yeah.
Let's see. And just to say, I don't think I've been since the 90s either.
Yeah.
I remember when I went to work as a tour guide at Universal Studios,
Mhm.
one of the tour guides had been on the wait staff at
Oh,
Mama Melrose's.
funny. Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
we worked right around the corner from each other.
Mama Melrose though was a
Oh,
big oh,
February 9th, 1996.
oh,
Interesting.
that doesn't look at that. Look at the timing of that as we record this on February 10th. Look at
Oh,
that.
yeah. That makes sense.
Um so Mama Melrose's was like a big staple, I would say, for Mama and Papa Dillo. Papa
Mhm.
Dillo
Yeah.
was Mama Melrose. I don't even know what he called it.
Well, yeah. Just since they were looking up dates, what day did Disney buy ESPN?
Oh, okay. And while we're at it, no, we don't have anything.
Yeah.
So, I was feeling the nostalgia as we were
Mhm.
going. And I'm like, this is so weird. This is crazy that I'm going back and all of it. They announced the merger in 95. So maybe they
Maybe
announced the
the
merger.
announcement. Maybe.
When did they announce the merger? So yeah, so it was cool, and not much has changed in Mama Melrose. So you walk into the lobby, and it's still that hashtag always MGM feel, because there's photos on the wall, headshots of all the celebrities that have visited, and this is all I want, I think, in Disney. These are the little things that I miss about a lot of Disney, because you used to see that a lot when you would go to beaches. Beaches and Cream had celebrity photos on the wall of anyone that had been to beaches. They used to have that in like a lot of areas, especially surrounding MGM. And so to see that in Mama Melrose, like, oh man, I miss this stuff. Like they don't have this anywhere anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
No, now they're just taking. They got the flannels taking them around Walt Disney World.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you get. ESPN was 96. I mean, I have it in my brain. I know we were having a conversation about Disney buying some kind of TV thing. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Might have to do more deep diving on that.
Before you get into your meal,
Sure.
I mean, it's hard to go wrong in Italian. Yeah, we have enough of Irish blood in us that it's not 100% Italian thing. But with pizza, if it has cheese and sauce and bread, I'm most likely going to eat it. Am I going to eat Elio's frozen pizza? I am. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And not a lot. I'm going to eat a lot of it.
I'm going to eat it with a fork. That's the way I like my Elios. Not anymore, but.
So that there's not. I don't have any bias. Like we had our favorite local Italian restaurant just closed, so we're angry. But Florida Italian food. I can't quite explain it. I don't know what it is in Italian restaurants in Florida, but they have a specific taste, a specific flavor that I can't completely. I don't know what it is. Steffers mentioned it on the Monday Morning Monorail podcast a couple weeks ago. She said Vivo, which I couldn't remember when we talked about it. I was like, it's Vivo. We were at Vivo last June, and as soon as I had like chicken parm, and as soon as I started eating it, I was like, oh, this is eating at an Italian restaurant in the 90s. I love it because that's what you did. And there is a specific consistency to the sauce. I don't know what it is, but I will let you talk about what you all had first, and then maybe we can dive deeper into that.
Yeah, I think the kids did their normal, as our 3 children do at an Italian restaurant, which is plain penne pasta with nothing on it.
Just take it out of the water and put it in a bowl.
Mr. Sandillo did the chicken parm. I did gluten-free pasta with meat sauce. And it was good. I'm that's it too. None of the food, Italian food that we're speaking of is like ever bad.
Right.
But it is and I don't know if do you Dillo the expectations to make it so it's more chain-like? Maybe that's it, like a more chain-like restaurant, and then but I also ride the line of not wanting to sound all snooty New York with like our Italian food and it's a chain. Like I don't know, but it is true. When I lived down there, I think if I had Italian food, I went to Carrabba's.
Oh yeah.
And I always felt
too
like
many capers.
What?
That was the commercial. Too many capers.
I always felt like they had a pretty good like chicken parm, angel hair sitch there. But not the same. So yeah, it's interesting. It's hard to say.
No, and I didn't know what the Olive Garden was until I lived in Florida. So Olive Garden in Florida I was like, all right.
Yeah. What's funny about the Olive Garden too, I don't know that. Well, yeah, I guess I did. I would sometimes have like the what's the endless pasta or whatever, where you can try like all the different pastas. I probably did do that, but most of the time I would do soup, salad, breadstick, because those breadsticks are delicious.
I'll have one exception to the Italian in theme park rule here, and because it's not there anymore, so of course we can be angry about that. It's not there anymore. But when the main dining experience in Italy in the World Showcase was Lafredo, which used to also have a restaurant in New York City. That they did something different there that all the other Italian places around were not doing, and I don't know what it was. So
yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. The other nostalgic memory I had with Mount Melrose is something we speak of often when we talk about Citizens of Hollywood, and there's just such a connection with that of like we would, go ahead to the park to see the Citizens of Hollywood, 5 o'clock set list or whatever, and meet up with Mama and Papa Dillo and go to
Yeah.
Mama Melrose's. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I feel like that was how we
Right.
kicked off our MGM nights a lot of
Yeah.
the time. So it was very nostalgic to be in this location and then go, well, this is over now. This is
Done.
done.
And it's as the other thing that I'm trying to plan out here, I have some plans for
Mhm.
March with baseball games.
Mm-hmm.
That is it or is it not? Who knows? But it's literally my March Madness right now.
Yeah.
But we are leaving from Orlando now. Like that is the plan.
Yeah.
Because we really enjoy Detroit Tiger games in
Mhm.
Lakeland.
Mhm.
Love that ballpark, very old school spring training. So, that beacon, it's there. I'm
Mhm.
like, can you see the Muppets for $175?
Mhm.
One morning? I don't know.
Do that. Have dinner at Mama Melrose's and get out of there.
Right. Well, and I'm like, well, if we don't even see a game that day, we could have lunch at Mama Melrose and then get out of there. But can we be at Jelly Rolls the night before?
I want to do all the things. All the
I
things.
know, and meanwhile, I'm like, I don't want a 6 a.m. flight to Disneyland next week.
But when I go for spring training, can I do all these things?
And now I'm juggling crazy things at once.
Yeah.
Too many crazy things.
This is why I just buy the dang AP. Lewis, I think this has to be another episode. I don't know which one because I have plans for a lot of them. But we had a whole discussion recently again about DVC. We're not obviously doing that anytime soon. We're just, I was watching some Dr. J videos. We were looking at it, like trying to understand. I'm like, listen, when we're actually ever actually thinking about this, we're just getting on a call with Dr. J. And then I told Mr. Sandillo, and then you have to listen to everything she says because I try my best and I just don't get it.
The anxiety just
that's it.
floods my brain.
But we were talking about the APs again and, looking up, and I'm like, how many days and this, and figuring that all out. I'm like, I mean, I know.
I would say for myself, because, we haven't officially announced it. It's an unofficial meetup that is happening November 6th through the 10th, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Presuming there are holiday parties that weekend. After that, do I need to go to a party again for a while? Probably not. That's probably when I would then consider having an annual pass again for myself.
Yeah.
Nobody else in this family.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. All right. So Lewis is saying it's really easy. We can help you as well. Lewis, we're going to have a whole meeting. There's going to be all of you are on the screen trying to explain it and break it down. I'm not even close to being in a position to even think about it. So it's going to be a while if I ever think about it. But he's also saying DVC saves you like $400 to $500 a year on the AP. That's interesting. Just got interesting. All right. The Uber driver needs to know. You pay a fortune, then you save a fortune. I mean, I like that. See, and Mr. Zidillo, as we're watching, he's like, we're crazy enough to do something like this. So we just need to figure that out. Right.
Yeah, it's too much upfront for me. It's really what it boils down to.
That's
where it cuts off.
Yeah.
So you have a second half of the day to discuss.
Right. So we kicked it off in Mama Melrose's, which you've heard about at this point. Then we did nighttime Muppets again.
With the content, you got lots of content. I didn't see that in my shared folder yet.
I got some content, but you did see what I did share with you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah, I have to get I want to get a Muppets shared folder together so we could just put any Muppet things we have so we can just share it forever. And we just create videos forever. After that, we convinced the 8-year-olds to go on Smugglers for the first time.
Oh,
listen, it's Star Tours, but you press buttons and you're in a ship. And it's going to be fine. She's like, but I don't want to be a pilot. That's fine. You just press buttons.
Just press the buttons.
She hated it. But she did it. So it's a win.
Did she hate it because she pressed the buttons or she hated it because...
So she found it boring. I do think it was a little like, what is happening? She found it difficult to see the screen of what was going on. We were the gunners, so
Mhm.
she's pressing buttons. So and every once in a while I'd be like, you have to watch, you have to look. This is what's going on over here. Look at the screen. So, thing she just wasn't a fan of all of that, but she did it, and a new ride is a
Yeah.
win.
Put it in the books.
Yes. Back to Star Tours,
Mhm.
for all of us. Then me and the 10-year-old went on Rise, and then Mr. Snidillo and the 8-year-old did another round on Star Tours. So this way, the 10-year-old got 2 rides on Rise, one with me,
Mhm.
one with Mr. Snidillo. So
Mhm.
that was that. Then we did Aliens Swirling Saucers again
And at night?
at night.
A night
At
ride?
night,
Right?
yeah.
Mhm.
And then we closed it out with Ogas
And the walkout.
and the walkout. A few things here before my Muppet rant. We're over an hour in, hour and 5 minutes in.
Yeah. But 10 minutes you did solo before I got here, so it was all right.
Oh, right, that counts. Like an hour then. So Oga's a cast member. I believe his name is Riley. He came uh, out of the doors yelling like Snyder, party at 4. And then we were like right there. He's like, "Oh, you guys are right here." And I'm like yelling your name. We're like, "That's okay." And he saw Mr. Snidillo's hat, and he was like, "Oh, Epcot. Oh my God, have you seen?" I had this conversation with Barry. You might hear some of that next week, everybody. Um, have you seen Rainbow Connection? And he's like, I can't. It's amazing. I love it and all that stuff. And then his girlfriend also works in the park and all this. And we're like, oh, this guy. I almost said kid because I feel so old.
Oh,
This
no.
guy,
Well,
he was awesome. I was like, this is a Disney cast member. This is someone we would hire in our company that we don't hire people in. He was like, his energy was there, his connection, he's finding ways to connect to the guest. He is helping us out. And we got to sit at a table. Now, I am sure a shared space at a table, you see a family of 4 coming in at 8:45 with their kids. You're like, why are there kids here at 8:45 at Olga's?
like, oh,
Um,
you're that family.
so, but we sat there, we had a drink, and the kids had the fizz, right? Is
Mhm.
that what's
The
the
tauntaun?
non-alcoholic, whatever the thing is,
The
freeze,
tauntaun. Yeah.
the carbon freeze?
Oh, the carbon
Maybe
freeze. I got
maybe
you.
that, not the
Mhm.
fizz. I did not give my children alcohol, so it's okay. And did you talk about the pod?
To
No.
Riley?
To Riley? No, but here's what I was gonna do. I was gonna create like a TikTok, a reel, a thing, and be like, "Hey, if you're a Disney cast member, stop scrolling, and do one of those and see if I can find Riley."
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
maybe. So we did that, and we did the walkout. Which again, I think I don't know if we talked about this at dinner that night, but I was like, the park doesn't close at 9. You got Oga's reservations going on until after 10. You have uh Phantasmic happening. I could hear the music from the parking lot. There's so much happening. The park isn't closed. Why are we pretending this park closes at 9? I don't understand. I
Mhm.
don't get it.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but we did get some photo pass pictures on the way out, which was nice at night. And MGM always a win. Also, separate, Mr. Snidillo and I rented an electric car. We did that as well, me and you,
Oh. Mhm.
but
We didn't know.
we didn't know it.
No.
So him and I did that. Obviously, he knows it. And we got to a point we realized that they hadn't charged the car 100% when we
Mhm.
got it, and we were like, "Ooh, well, what do we do?" And so when on the Epcot day, we were like, "Oh, well, they probably have to have charging stations, right?" And so when we got the second half of the day, when we went back, we had asked, but all the spots were full, so we didn't get those charging spots. But at MGM the next day in the morning, they're like, they have to radio. You gotta like talk to the first parking guy, and then he's got to radio the guy, be like, any spots open? And there was one spot open, which was the front spot where we used to park way back in the day,
Oh, yeah.
and right on that sidewalk pretty much. And so
Nice.
you could park there, plug in the car. I'm like, well, this is totally worth it because look at this parking spot we got. We just this is amazing. Um Yeah. So that was just a side note. You can always stay at the Disney parks for over an hour after the park closes. I know, but it just felt like there's a lot going on though. Like it's weird to me that you're like taking reservations, let's say for Oga's after
Right.
closing time or whatever. It's kind of annoying because it encourages people to linger and not get out of your pictures. Exactly. I felt like it was a little too crowded for that walkout that I did. I was like, there's too many people
You
here.
want to be alone?
Right, I wanna be by myself with my thoughts and my nostalgia. Thank you.
I felt like I had another question before
Mm.
we get into Muppets, but I don't think that I have it. I don't believe it's there. It was Ogus. What did you did the alien swirling
Yep.
saucers, and it's not gonna come to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like everything we did, a lot of the things we did 2 to 3 times, but, you know.
All right. Let
Something I keep saying I'm gonna do is find Lightning McQueen. Have I done it? No, I still didn't. I
Now
say no.
in this day is the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular and the Beauty and the Beast stage show discussed at all?
I feel like they were both discussed before going on the trip and we heard Indiana Jones happening when we came back to MGM, I think. And I knew exactly what the noise, what the ruckus was.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, I don't, but they weren't discussed within the day. But I do remember looking and like taking note of like when are the Beauty and the Beast shows? When is Indiana? But then we just didn't
Mm,
do it. I don't know. Yeah,
mhm, mhm.
yeah.
All right. So you're
Mm.
presumably your last time at Muppet Vision 3D,
Mhm,
closing June 7th.
mhm, mhm,
You will not likely be back
mhm.
in the next 4 months, less than 4 months.
Uh-huh.
Thoughts?
Mhm. Oh man. I think it's a little more difficult being there and watching it and knowing it was going away and knowing why it was going away. And it made me more annoyed. Like it um I'm happy I got the two showings. I'm happy I got a little morning and a little night and in the courtyard in both of the atmospheres. I'm just so annoyed still by the choice for the change for the sake of change.
Mhm,
Um, again, do I like monsters? Sure. Do I like monsters laugh lore in Magic Kingdom? Sure.
mhm,
Do we need to get rid of something people love in order to replace it when you have areas of the park that are just sitting there? When I am walking under the arch and I see no sign on the Little Mermaid ride,
mhm.
not a ride, show, whatever,
Minute
next
Maid.
next Minute Maid, no sign for Minute Maid anymore. Next to the Star Wars Museum, near the Disney Junior characters that aren't out, I'm like, what are we doing in this area? What is this space?
Mhm,
Why? Why is this all sitting here? And even the Star Wars Museum. I get it's kind of a cool place to go into. You see a little bit of the stuff, but and get some character meet and greets. That's
mhm,
great. Move it. You move it because again, it would have made more sense if you're getting rid of the Muppets to connect Star Tours into Galaxy's Edge, move all the character meet and greets or whatever you want to do over there. Keep that the Star Wars whole area. What are you doing? So now you got all this random space just sitting here. And you're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get rid of Muppets. We're going to get rid of Pizza Rizzo. We're going to get rid of Mama Melroses. And we're going to put in monsters right here. Why? Why are you doing that? It doesn't make sense. And so it was just more annoying as I'm picking up on the vibes of the Muppet Courtyard at night. You know how it feels and looks and the glow and all of it. It's magical. It's got all the feels. You got a Disney breeze happening at the same time. It's fantastic. Why are we getting rid of that? and you just have these spaces just sitting. I went down the Pixar, whatever that strip is. I don't even know what's happening over there. We did see a couple of characters. That was fun. But like, what is this? What's over here happening? Yeah, I don't even know. It's that part annoys me. They're like, let's do this thing. I want to know the full thought process. I want to know what's happening in all the other areas and what plans you have for the future. Blue sky them to me. Be like, listen, we're gonna put monsters here because we want to do this. We're gonna move the Muppets into Rock and Roller Coaster. Fine. We're gonna make this whole area a Muppets area. Maybe I'm a little bit more, but you're like, oh, we have plans for the movie in some form. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything to me. It was just like, I can't with the decisions like this. These are the things that frustrate me. They're not going to stop me from going to Disney, so I'm just talking. And they frustrate me because I see these empty spaces. I see these things that you could replace with other things that aren't the Muppets that people enjoy, that people go into, that people sit, that people get a nice AC break, that people laugh at, that people have nostalgia to. I don't know why we have to remove that.
So this is my problem with wanting to go again, besides the prices.
Mm-hmm.
Because you took away that retail shop. You know how much merch I bought out of that retail shop over the years. Now, and I have different connections because Pizza Rizzo was Pizza Planet once upon a time. And I spent an ungodly amount of time working in that building.
Yep.
Sometimes in the courtyard in the early days when Toy Story got released, it was still kind of Muppety, but not really Muppety. One of the Toy Story characters in the Muppety area, nobody understood. But the whole area had the Christmas shop. If you went back before you hit Mama Melrose's, it was a very complete area that people really enjoyed being in for a long time. And yeah, you dip out to go to the New York Street and all of that. I get it. Yeah, to not paint a complete path forward is annoying. Is an annoying part of it because as we've talked about in our one channel Discord, connected with the resort, our Patreon, as it were, that I think a lot of it is building maintenance, to be quite honest. Like I think Movie Ride was definitely a part of that. I can only imagine, how much steam and smoke went inside those walls over the years. Like eventually that was going to need some work, extensive, full-bodied work inside there. Same thing for the Voyage of the Little Mermaid. The bubbles that went up into the ceiling every day, it felt moist in there all the time. And nobody likes saying moist, but here we are. So so there's that, and there's other attractions that I do feel that their fate dragged to a conclusion. Movie Ride dragged to a conclusion. The Voyage of the Little Mermaid, not exactly dragged, but it's dragging, getting it back up. I do think that a lot of that, if you want to go back as far as Toy Story Mania going into the sound stages, I could make a case for that too.
Yeah.
So all these buildings that were created very quickly between 1988 and 1995, 1996, like it's not surprising to me in that respect. We're talking about Jelly Rolls, we're talking about ESPN Club, we're talking about all these things that went up in a year. People are like, why is Tron taking 4 years? Well, the buildings that went up in like 8 months
in the middle of the water,
in the middle of a swamp, that maybe that's why. Maybe they want it to last a little bit longer. Like what's a Big Red commercial? Remember the Big Red?
Nice. That's exactly what I had in my
a little longer. Fresh breath a little longer. With Big Red.
There you go.
Big Red still gum? Does that exist?
I don't know.
I digress. Yeah. But my point is that I do think the building maintenance is a large part of it. And if they gotta make a decision to clear the area, does it make sense that it's Monsters Inc. and not an extension of Star Wars? It does not. But the idea that you don't have a path forward
Mm-hmm.
or a very fully realized complete attraction that people still talk about and go to and have
Mm-hmm.
nostalgia for is annoying.
Yeah. And if you need to do the maintenance and then just shut it down and reopen it. Stop it. But I think, yes, I would have been upset if you were getting rid of Muppets regardless. If you were getting rid of that whole area, of course I would have been upset if you were making it an extension of Star Wars, sure. But at least there would have been like a little bit of sense to it. There would have
Right.
been a little bit of something to it. Like, well, you're right. Don't
I'm
get so
angry.
angry. You wouldn't have the disjointedness of you're removing Muppets in between a Star Wars thing and a Star Wars thing, and then you're putting in Monster. What? I mean, obviously, I also know. Well, it's the clock is ticking for Star Tours. I know, I get that, but also that's annoying too because you could have just left it, extended the whole Star Wars thing into like. I don't understand what's happening, and it bothers me. And it bothers me that now there are these dead spaces again. And even if you think like, so now you've had the Little Mermaid theaters and it's been closed for a while. And so you have that space. You have the I forget what Once Upon a Dream, Once Upon a Man, a man's dream, the Walt
One man's dream. Walt
the right.
Disney's dreaming.
Yes, the whole, you walk through Walt Disney's life. That's great. That's really interesting. Okay. Huh. I don't know that it's needed, but it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, if you got rid of that, because that theater has changed over the years or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call it, if you got rid of that, that's a whole big section of something that you could put right there and extend it back a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
that there's space to work with. I don't know. It's just so that whole area now that's basically from Disney Junior all the way to the Pixar, whatever, before Disney, before Toy Story Land is like, what's all that? What are we doing here
Yeah.
at this point? And again, and we've had these discussions with people before about Disney Junior. I do think there should be a place for Disney Junior somewhere
Mm-hmm.
in the parks. Maybe it belongs a little bit more in Magic Kingdom, but I have no idea where. But if you are putting Disney Junior somewhere, then make that a whole Disney Junior like true area and like give it some attention that it deserves because there are a lot of characters that little ones are watching every day before they go to Disney World that aren't represented really in the parks. So like I get that if you're going to do something, but again, it just feels all like, I don't know, we'll just put some characters out or we'll just put this DJ in here and have Vampirina come out. Like, what are we doing? I don't know.
I mean, and just like the Ratatouille ride
Mhm.
in France, we know that in a few years the drop off is
Mhm.
going to be Remy is not Anna and Elsa.
Yeah.
Like the
Right.
Frozen ride in Norway is going to be that long forever.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yes.
But that's not Remy, and that's what I worry about with monsters is like
Mhm.
novelty is going to wear off quick. I
Yeah.
think unless you got something up your sleeve.
Yeah.
But that's what's up. And I get like what the Muppets do in a booking.com Super Bowl commercial over
Mhm.
here. So then they're just getting farmed out for a
Mhm.
price.
Yeah.
So yeah, why are you gonna put money into rebuilding it somewhere else? That doesn't make sense.
Right.
The Rock and Roller Coaster layover, I think is fine for the time being, but also how long is that? I mean, that building probably needs some maintenance too.
Mhm.
1998 to 1999. You know how quick that building went up? I was there for that. It went
Yeah.
up fast.
Yeah. Mhm.
And that and Lewis is asking that whole alley there backs up against the Rise building, so it's awkward. I mean, all the
Mhm.
Star Wars meet and greet characters could have went over there just as easy as
Mhm.
anything else.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like a Monsters Inc. area is the bell is tolling for Star Tours.
Oh, yeah, for
And
sure.
And no, and Lewis is asking how many people, not compared to 25, 30 years ago, it ain't putting people through like it used to. No
No.
way. When they
But
used to be able, I'm sure they're not running all 6 ride vehicles anymore or whatever it is.
no, but I would feel like, I mean, having been on this past trip in the summer, right? Yep, in the summer. And then 2 years, like, there's a good amount of people in there. And I think because there are so many
Yeah.
theaters or whatever at this point, like, it's not empty in there. You're not the only people in your, what do they call it? Thing, theater seating area,
Yeah.
whatever. I can't think of the ride's name. Um, but like there's multiple lines happening at once. So I do think that no, it's not what it used to be because we used to wait on that
Yeah.
line all the time,
Yeah.
and it was you waited for a while, but it's holding a good number of people. I feel like even at a 10-minute wait, let's say.
Yeah. No, and so it'll be, it's crazy to me because it's my home park, as a cast member,
Hmm.
that they're still going through these kind of adolescent changes. I
Hmm.
mean, it's a 35-year-old park. I pulled up something the other day. I don't know what it was that I was like, oh, when I started as a campus cast member, uh, the park was 6 years old.
Oh
It's
my
like,
god.
what?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
And so I think we're teetering towards feeling like we did 7 years, 8 years ago
Hmm.
when Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge weren't around,
Hmm.
and going, "What is this park?
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
are we going?"
Hmm.
And I think that's troubling that it's now only 5 years later, and we could be asking those questions again because the flow doesn't seem to be there.
Mhm. Well, right, because if you are, depending on which way you go it in the morning, and I do feel like Slinky Dog does get a good rope drop crowd over to it. And if you're going to the right, what are you passing on the way
Mhm.
to Slinky Dog? Like
Yeah.
what you're not even trying to draw any of the crowd.
Right.
Like, what's happening over here? You're just like this whole empty area. It
Yeah.
does. It is feeling like put the walls up. Just put up some Epcot walls at this point.
Right, which is a game you used to see a crowd going to Splash Mountain and
Mhm.
in the '90s and go, "Eh, maybe I'm just gonna go to Thunder Mountain right now.
Yeah.
Let's figure
Yeah.
itself out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over to Thunder Mountain."
Yeah.
You don't have that.
No. Jeffers had mentioned and Jeffers, I apologize in advance if I'm not saying things exactly. So please feel free to correct me in the chat that he had seen maybe a TikTok or something like that where someone was maybe read an article, not a TikTok, where someone was talking about how the parks used to have like their own identities to them. Obviously,
Mhm.
Animal Kingdom still does, but like Epcot, was like the learning park and the educational and the
Yeah.
futuristic things and all that. And then MGM was all the Hollywood stuff and the TV and the movies, and it was a real live studio. And Magic Kingdom was that whole fantasy land
Mhm.
and the kind
Right.
of more the OG Disney. And now with more IPs in the parks, with more changes happening, with whatever, like they're not feeling as distinct
Cohesive.
as
Mm.
they used to, and having their own little personalities and identity. And like you think about in the future and how things are going, and it's like, where is it all going to go, and how do they stay
Right.
the course, and what is the course at this point?
And you wanna move away, you wanna move away from that. That's one thing,
Hmm.
have the path forward,
Hmm.
and it's not, what is it? World Celebration, World Acrobatics, or whatever the 3.
Hashtag always future world.
It's Future World,
Hmm.
but it's a once again an interesting time as Epic
Hmm.
Universe approaches.
Yeah.
I don't have the answers, but will I suffer the same fate as you? I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't know if I
Yeah.
can do it. I honestly don't. I agree where you thought, to give by surprise. I think how much, but I feel like it's gonna be worse for me. I don't know. So
Yeah, because well, sure, and you spent so much time there, and like you said, especially in those early days. I mean, how much of our early content. We have a picture of me and Papa Dillo with Woody right in that area over there, in the courtyard. I played air hockey with Woody at, upstairs with Pizza Planet. Like a lot has happened in that area. And, when I was there, it's not like I was standing there angry, but I was just like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Why is this happening? I don't get it. And do I also think perhaps some changes could have been made to the movie? And this is kind of how we felt about the Great Movie Ride, right? We were, you could have done some updating in that ride. It was in need of it. Fine. But then you just got rid of it instead. Same thing for the Muppet movie, the MuppetVision 3D. Should we have a cannon? I don't know. Should is that how it's
shooting a gun at the
I don't
screen?
know that's what we should be doing. So change it up a little bit and do the refurb and maybe come back with most of the movie and make some tweaks and make some changes or updates or whatever you're going to do. But I don't know, to get rid of it and bring in monsters, I don't understand it. I don't.
And on that note, I'm going to Disneyland.
Yay! It's happening.
To go talk to Walt directly.
You think you're going to cry?
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting. I think it's a long time coming.
Yeah.
But that is what is coming up here. So yeah, I got a 3-day park hopper situation. 4 nights at the Pixar place.
Yep.
And probably not that $500 princess breakfast on the Saturday morning. As discussed in the One Channel Discord. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, Dr. Jacqueline, Pixie Dust PhD. Go subscribe to her on YouTube.
Oh my goodness, so funny.
So thanks to everyone here at the resort, DillosDizResort.com. That, of course, is our Patreon with memberships beginning as low as $1 per month. DillosDizResort.com. Until next time, she's Jen, and I'm Frank. Bye-bye.
Deuces. The Dillo's Diz podcast is hosted by Frank Cardillo and Jen Cardillo-Snyder. Music produced by Matt Harvey. Logos and video production courtesy of Snidillo Studios. Dillo's Diz Resort is our Patreon with tiers starting as low as $1 per month. You can visit DillosDizResort.com to learn more. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X Twitter, and Facebook at Dillo's Diz. Check us out on YouTube by visiting youtube.com/DillosDiz. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. We also have merch available on TeePublic and Etsy. For all this and more, visit our one-stop shop, DillosDiz.com. Dillo's Diz Podcast 2025.